Welcome to my world history notes where I read from the book I wrote to teach homeschoolers world history. A Bible believer looks at world history, which you can find on lulu.com, amazon.com, or at the Bible Baptist bookstore, or just follow me here. So today we're talking about alcohol consumption in ancient Rome. I thought it was an interesting subject that might seem kind of weird to talk about, but it's intrigued me. So let's return to an interesting subject which I mentioned earlier: the Roman consumption of large quantities of wine. One might ask how a vital, thriving culture such as Rome could have actually accomplished anything if every man, woman, and child were intoxicated much of the time from drinking wine. It's important to note that the 21st century assumption that all beverages referred to as wine are alcoholic and capable of getting one intoxicated is false. This has led to great confusion with regard to references to wine in the Bible as well, such as the erroneous assumption that Jesus turned water into a few hundred gallons of fermented wine called good wine in the text of John chapter 2, with the possible result of getting a wedding party drunk out of their gourds. To quote one Bible commentator, Albert Barnes, from his notes on the New Testament, written in 1875 but available on Amazon.com, Pliny, Plutarch, and Horace describe wine as good. This is a quote. Or mention as the best wine, which was harmless or innocent, Poculus vini innocentus. The most useful wine, utilissimum victum, vinum, was that which had little strength, and the most wholesome wine, salubarium vinum, was that which had not been adulterated by the quote addition of anything to the must or juice. Pliny expressly says that a good wine was one that was destitute of spirit. It should not be assumed, therefore, that the good wine was stronger than the other. It is rather to be presumed that it was milder. That would be the best wine, certainly. The wine referred to here was doubtless such as was commonly drunk in Palestine. That was the pure juice of the grape. It was not brandied wine, nor drugged wine, nor wine compounded of various substances such as we drink in this land. The common wine drunk in Palestine was that which was simple juice of the grape. Okay, that's from Albert Barnes. Pliny clearly says in his Natural History that wines are the most beneficial when all their potency has been removed. Plutarch remarks in Symposiac that wine is much more pleasant to drink when it doesn't get one drunk, and this is accomplished by a filtering process. Columella also goes into some detail in his writings on how various fruits are converted into unfermented wine, or what we would call grape juice. Pliny remarks in Natural History that due to the tendency of fermented wines to grow moldy and stink, it is not always an easy process to make them successfully. Columella tells us that unfermented grape juice kept better than fermented wine. Cato, writing nearly 2 centuries earlier in his work on agriculture, reviews some of the problems with the preservation of fermented wine. Quoting from the book Wine in the Bible by Samuel Bacchiacci of Andrews University, quote, the custom of preserving grape juice by boiling it down into a syrup has survived through the centuries in the Near East and Mediterranean countries. This beverage is known as vino cotto, boiled wine in Italian, vin cuit in French, nardac in Syriac, and dibs in Arabic. In its article on wine, the John Kitto's old but renowned Encyclopedia of Biblical Literature quotes several 19th century historians on the use of boiled grape juice in the Near East. One of them, Dr. A. Russell, in his Natural History of Aleppo, writes, the quote, the inspissated juice of the grape, sapavini, called here dibs, is brought to the city in skins and sold in the public markets, as much the appearance of coarse honey is of sweet taste and in great use among the people of all sorts. Similarly, Cyrus Redding, in his History of Modern Wine, states, a quote, on Mount Libanus at Kisroan, good wines are made, but they're for the most part banquets, boiled wines. The wine is preserved in jars. J.D. Paxton, who witnessed the lineage in Lebanon, also says, quote, the juice that was extracted when I visited the press was not made into what is now called wine, but into what is called dibs. The common use of unfermented boiled wine in the Near East during the 19th century is also attested to by several travel accounts. Reverend Henry Holmes, an American missionary to Constantinople, in his article on wine published in the Bibliotheca Sacra, May 1848, gives this account of his observations, quote, simple grape juice without the addition of any earth to neutralize the acidity is boiled from 4 to 5 hours so as to reduce it 1/4 the quantity put in. After the boiling, for preserving it cool, that it be less liable to ferment, it is put into earthen instead of wooden vessels, closely tied over with skin to exclude the air. It ordinarily has not a particle of intoxicating quality, being used freely by both Mohammedans and Christians. some of which I've had on hand for 2 years, has undergone no change. So be careful when assuming that the 2 quarts of wine drunk by every man, woman, and child each week, as referenced earlier from Durant, created a population of roaring drunks who just happened to come from the Mediterranean world, or that Jesus got a wedding party plastered in the book of John. Look at the back of your hand, now turn it over. Look at the palm. See, there are 2 sides of everything. I'd be cautious about a Christian who'd argue vehemently for his right to consume alcohol as a recreational beverage and then say loudly, quote, well, Jesus turned water into wine, so there. There are many references in the Bible to the dangers of alcoholic drinks, such as this one, Proverbs 23:31. Look not thou upon the wine when it is red, when it giveth its color in the cup, when it moveth itself aright. At the last it biteth like a serpent and stingeth like an adder. Thine eyes shall behold strange women, and thy heart shall utter perverse things. Yea, thou shalt be as he that lieth down in the midst of the sea, or as he that lieth upon the top of a mast. They have stricken me, shalt thou say, and I was not sick. They have beat me, I felt it not. When shall I awake? I will seek it yet again. And to be sure, the clear principle of the Bible is evident against the Christian drinking alcoholic drinks. First, the Hebrew priest was not to enter into the presence of God having consumed alcoholic drinks, Leviticus 10:9. Do not drink wine nor strong drink, thou nor thy sons with thee, when ye go into the tabernacle of the congregation, lest ye die. It should be a statute forever throughout your generations. The Christian is always in the presence of God, having the Spirit of God dwelling inside of him. 1 Corinthians 6:19. What, know ye not that your body is the temple of the Holy Ghost, which is in you, which ye have of God, ye are not your own? Romans 8:9. For you're not in the flesh, but in the Spirit, if so be that the Spirit of God dwell in you. Now, if any man have not the Spirit of Christ, he is none of his. So a very good argument can be made not only against getting intoxicated, but on drinking alcoholic drinks at all. So next we're going to talk about Roman engineering. We're going to discuss some about religion, and then we're going to go to China. All right. Thank you very much, and I hope you dig into your history and study. Bye-bye.